In the middle of a forgotten ocean, deep in the heart of nowhere, stands Ironvale Penitentiary. The prison closed decades ago, but its reputation still lingers like the fog that surrounds its rusting gates. People say Ironvale wasn't just a place for criminals, it was a trap for souls. Those who entered its walls never truly left. The story begins with Eric, an amateur urban explorer who thrives on discovering forgotten places. He had heard about Ironvale in whispers, local legends warning of its haunted halls. It was said that the prison's warden, a man named Elias Cain, ran it with an iron fist, using the inmates as his personal labor force. Those who crossed him simply disappeared. When the prison shut down after a series of unexplained deaths, Cain vanished, leaving behind nothing but his legacy of fear. Eric, armed with his camera, flashlight, and a sense of adventure, decides to document the prison for his channel. He sneaks past the no trespassing signs and into the crumbling facility. The air inside is thick and cold, far colder than it should be. Graffiti covers the walls, but beneath the modern scrawls, Eric notices older marking scratches that look like desperate messages from inmates. Help me, don't trust him, stay away from the warden, don't trust him. The deeper Eric goes, the stranger things become. His flashlight flickers, and he hears faint whispers echoing through the cell blocks. He brushes it off as his imagination until he hears the sound of a heavy cell door slamming shut behind him. Eric turns, his heart racing, but the corridor is empty. He tells himself it's just the wind, but as he continues, the whispers grow louder, forming words. You shouldn't have come. His camera begins to glitch, and when he checks the footage, he sees something he didn't notice before. Shadows moving behind him, shapes that don't belong to anything in the room. In the prison's central chamber, he finds an old office. The nameplate on the desk reads Warden Cain. There's a rusted filing cabinet, and Eric decides to take a look. Inside are files, but they're not the usual prison records. These are detailed accounts of the inmates' final moments, written in Cain's own hand. Each file ends the same way. Eric searches the prison map on the wall, but sees no mention of cell block 0. Suddenly, he hears heavy footsteps approaching. They're slow and deliberate, echoing off the stone walls. Panicking, Eric hides under the desk, his flashlight clutched tightly. The footsteps stop right outside the door, and a shadow falls across the room. Why are you here? A deep voice growls, sending shivers down Eric's spine. Eric waits, holding his breath, until the shadow moves on. When he finally gains the courage to leave the office, he realizes the layout of the prison has changed. Corridors twist into unfamiliar shapes, and doors that were once open are now bricked up. The whispers return, louder now, and Eric swears he can hear his name among them. Then he sees it, a stairwell leading down. A rusted sign above it reads, Cell Block 0. Against his better judgment, Eric descends. The air grows heavier with each step, and a low hum vibrates through the walls. At the bottom, he finds a corridor lined with cells. Inside each one is a figure prisoners frozen in time, their eyes wide with terror as Eric approaches one of the cells. The figure inside suddenly moves, lunging at the bars. You can't leave, it screams. He won't let you. Eric turns to run, but standing at the end of the corridor is Warden Cain. His face is pale, his eyes hollow, and his uniform stained with blood. You came looking for answers, Cain says, his voice echoing unnaturally. Now you're part of them. The last thing Eric feels is icy hands gripping his shoulders, pulling him backward. His camera falls to the floor, recording nothing but static. Weeks later, hikers discover the camera just outside the prison gates. The footage shows Eric entering Ironvale, his excitement palpable. Then, as the video progresses, his voice fades, replaced by static and whispers. To this day, no one has ever escaped Ironvale Penitentiary. And now, Eric's name joins the scratched messages on its walls.